All right, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. It's Good Afternoon Ghana, and we're here to, of course, go on or into the issues of the nation. One on the table has to do with the 2021 report of the Auditor General, and most of the infractions that have been reported, one can describe them as recycled. Not so, because we sit on a lot of the issues that are brought to the forth by the Auditor General year after year, and they are repetitive. Sometimes they get worse. Of course, they will get worse when we don't find solutions to them. So we're going to go into some of the issues that have come up already by the Auditor General. We'll have Muritala Mohammed, Honorable Member of Parliament. We'll also have Palgrave Boachidankwa, who also speaks for the government on some governmental issues and security as well. My name is Ania Fompoffo. Let's take a breather, and when we come back, we'll take you through excerpts of the reports and some of the tables, and then we'll have the guests with us as well. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. We'll go into the issues now. I have Muritala Mohammed, Honorable Member of Parliament for Tamale Central Constituency. He is with me. You're welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for your time. It's been a while, actually.
Yes,
I haven't
it has.
seen you.
Yes, it's true.
For quite a while, yeah. All right. Palgrave Boachidankwa is also with me. He is spokesperson for government and also on security matters as well. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah,
welcome.
good afternoon to you.
Interestingly, both guests are coincidentally wearing smocks.
Yeah, he's wearing a beautiful smock.
Thank you very much. I think that I give credit to the Yana who found it.
Now when you wear smocks, it's like you have to be careful before they associate it with any political party.
Really?
Regardless what party you belong to. So when you're selecting, select carefully.
Okay. I think that for me, there were two reasons why I decided to wear smock from Saturday throughout the whole of the week. Was that the cardinal, he's been consecrated as a cardinal in Rome, and I wanted to celebrate the people of Upper West for that because he's the third cardinal.
Okay.
And then also you are aware that President spent an extensive time in the Savannah and the Upper West region the entire of last week,
where he was engaged in propaganda.
I am representing the people of the North, and a sizable part of my blood also is from the Upper West region. I'm not sure that Honorable Mutala is aware, but our family in Boli as well, and so I can consider myself, and then even in Bogatanga. So over this weekend, I'll be going to Bogatanga.
And you're a family member of the president too.
I'm looking for goods from the northern part of the country to do business with. So let me know when you're going.
Absolutely.
I want to know what Bogatanga people do.
Very
then I'll
beautiful
transact
things.
business with them.
Yes, please.
And our assessment of smokes is not only on how beautiful it looks, but how it is stitched. Any Northerner will tell you that this smoke is nice based on how it is stitched.
Oh, okay.
So when he entered, I said, "This is a beautiful smoke," and I said, "It is not only how beautiful it looks. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but the stitch." And then when he said that it was given to him by the Yana, I said, "Okay,
that's why."
Then that explains.
It's done carefully. Anyway, so let's go straight into the issue. I have some slides on the Auditor General. I'll take it now if the producers have it, and then we'll get into the issues. All right, I have the first one that says that, okay, can I have that here? It's a coalition for democratic accountability and inclusive governance. And so it says that the reason we're angry is that there is a clear determination of misappropriation of funds, yet we have not seen Auditor General's exercising his prowess of surcharging disallowances. This is no basis why these surcharges and disallowances should not be applied, because that is the only way to discipline people. So when people are doing these kinds of things, they are worried that they are going to be held responsible if they do not follow the rules. And this is from the coalition. 2021 Auditor General's reports highlights, it says that the total of 17.4 billion Ghana cedis in financial irregularities have been flagged by the Auditor General in its latest report submitted to Parliament for 2021 financial year. This represents 36% rise 36% rise compared to that of 2020. The audit showed that lapses in the management of public finances led to losses of 1,080,913.824 in 2021 by ministries, departments, and agencies. Okay.
It's billion.
Yeah, 1 billion. Yeah.
Million.
1 billion. Yeah.
Billion.
Yeah.
It's 1 billion.
Yes.
It's, okay, yeah, you're right. Anyway, so it continues to say that the Auditor General cited 19 past and current judges of Ghana's Ghana's Superior Court for acquiring state vehicles, a move that contravenes Regulation 158 of the Public Financial Management Regulation 2019, LI 2378. The regulation states that the principal spending officer of the covered entity shall obtain written approval of the minister for the transfer, exchange, sale, donation, contribution in kind, trust, and any other disposal of any vehicle. In the absence of the approval from the Minister of Finance, we recommend that the auction should be nullified and vehicles recovered. So this is a list of some of the judges that the report captured, names of the officer, types of the vehicle, and then the sales value. So, for example, 1, Justice F.G. Corbier, is it Corbier? Corbier, Toyota Land Cruiser. The registration number is there. I don't think I should even read it out. And then the sales, go back. I want the first slide. Yes, it was sold at 57,975, a Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, Justice N.L.'s Badebe also bought Toyota Land Cruiser at 67,047. Charles Y. Boateng, Toyota Corolla Saloon, bought it at 9,090. Justice Julius Ansah also bought Toyota Land Cruiser at 75,643. Justice Julius Ansah bought Toyota Avalon Saloon at 40,920.06. Okay, those are some examples. You can jump to the next slide. Okay. Elizabeth Ankuma also bought Toyota Fortuner, that's an SUV, at 107,271. Justice Yawapel bought Toyota Avalon Saloon at 48,632. Now make reference to what the law says they should do when they want to buy, any property of this nature. Lawyer Judge Babransa, that's Barbara Aqua, also bought Toyota Fortuner station wagon at 92,914. Justice Nathaniel Osam also bought Toyota Fortuner, it's an SUV, at 60,445. Okay, let's jump. The total is there. All right. Okay, so these are some of the tables or infractions that were captured by the Auditor General. We have some more, but I think we can just start the discussion because time is already fast spent. Let me welcome my guest again, and I'll go straight to the government spokesperson. So we have, Palgrave, we have issues like the UPSA offices, which were not documented. That is over 318K Ghana cedis spent by the officers, the UPSA. Some of the revelations. Auditor General directs Cocoa Board to recover 2.25 billion government debt. We have Senate contributions issues. We have 6,856 companies, business and individuals owing 111 million Ghana cedis in taxes. And that's all parts of the AG's report. So many infractions that we can't even focus on one. You are focusing on another one trips. What is going on? And you saw in the slides that we have our infractions increasing by 36% only within a year.
So, Annie, a very good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to Honorable Mutala,
Comrade Mutala.
Comrade Mutala Mohammed. Annie, I have gone through the Auditor General's report, and I congratulate him really for going ahead to do what is mandated by law for him to do. However, I'd like to set a few things in perspective. I think that particularly as it relates to the judges, you would recall that as you made mention of the various vehicles and the car numbers, you realize that some of them are as dated as 2013. Some go as far as 2014. And these are vehicles that these judges have used over the period. So if a judge who has served over 30 years from magistrate and has risen up to the ranks, and every time as mandated by the law, even when they are going on retirement, they have the first duty to purchase their vehicles if they so want to. And there are documents to prove that this has been traditions that has been ongoing for a couple of time. And then also these vehicles were assessed by the STC for the STC to bring out the accurate measure of these vehicles. It is fair to be able to state that when the Auditor General did his audit especially within the judicial service, he stated that because they had not had a bit of an approval from the Ministry of Finance, they should try and put together a retrospective approval.
It's not a bit of an approval.
Well, they didn't have an
not
approval.
had an approval.
They should write a retrospective approval, which is more like a ratification, which was written. I mean, I have here that as at 27th of April, that letter had already been written to the Ministry of Finance, and they had already had a response to it. And you have to realize that we are discussing.
What was the response?
I mean, yes. I mean, when you write a retrospective approval letter, it means that you are writing a letter to after the event. So you are writing to state that this event has occurred, but you are asking for permission. So more like that. I mean, so Ministry of Finance has responded in a number of ways. Now, also to be able to state that all these vehicles really that are sold, the money comes into the government coffers, and which is also part of our entire revenue mobilization. And so let's not overly blow the issue out of proportion. These are long-serving judges who have worked well their entire lives. And often, I mean, you would retire with a vehicle, and if they want to auction those vehicles, you would be the first person that will be given an opportunity to purchase the vehicles. And these vehicles have been assessed by no other motor agency than the STC. And so I think it brings a lot of the matter to rest as we bring the clarification to the issues. It's not as though the judges have auctioned vehicles for themselves and have bought those vehicles for
how did the
themselves.
audits miss the letter written in retrospection and its responses from the Finance Ministry?
No, the Auditor General didn't miss the response. It was the Auditor General who actually asked the Judicial Service to write the retrospective letter. You understand? So that retrospective letter was written, and the response is out. So
Before this report was put together?
No, before. Yes, it was. No, this was after. After, this report was put together. When they go into to do their audit, then they put together their report. And when they do their report, they send copies of that as well to the various agencies that were audited. But before it becomes public, obviously, you would have had to do your own internal mechanisms. They won't be able to state in there that they had done the retrospective letter and the letter had been approved, because these were suggestions that were already given from the audit document. Do you understand? So they are justifiable measures that, should events that they even need to meet the Public Accounts Committee as a judicial service committee, secretariat, they will be able to justify and state that yes, the Auditor General came into our books, looked at it, and advised these measures, and based on that advice, is being acted upon.
Right, let me come to Comrade.
Annie, first and foremost, let me say good afternoon to you and to my friend and a brother, and good afternoon to your viewing public. I think that the explanation you have given, in fact, wasn't even the case. When the Auditor General does his work, every state institution has an internal auditor. The internal auditor's responsibility is to ensure that monies that are expended, that is the taxpayers' money, or budget approvals and estimations given to any state institution, including the judiciary, must be expended within the ambit of law. We have a lot of financial regulations, acts, and laws, the procurement law, the Public Management Act, and mention all the other kinds of laws that determines how monies of the state are expended. The internal auditor's responsibility is to ensure that you spend those state monies within the ambit of law. And at the end of the year, the internal auditor would have to file his report based on the auditing that he or she has undertaken with the institution he or she serves. Now, the external auditor also comes, and if it is in any district, you have a district of, auditor who supervises the auditing of all agencies within the district. They then file their report to the regional auditor. And sometimes when the regional auditor needs some clarification, he comes to do further checks or further investigation before it is submitted to the Auditor General. And in fact, before the Auditor General compiles the reports are compiled based on what was done by the internal auditors, the external auditors, auditors who visited the institutions to review your books as to how monies were expended. There is a conference that is organized after they have finished with their work. And they present to you some of the infractions they have identified. At that time, you are given the opportunity to respond to some of the cited infractions. Now, even after that, they give you a management letter. That management letter will tell you the conclusions they have arrived based on all the opportunities given to you to respond to those infractions that were identified in their investigation. Now, after all these things are done, the Auditor General then submits the reports to the public account to Parliament. And then Mr. Speaker then refers the matter to the appropriate committee, in this case, the Public Accounts Committee, or committee that I served. The Public Accounts Committee will then give you the opportunity, those cited, whether individuals or institutions, to come and explain why you think that you should not be cited for such infraction. So there is another opportunity that's given to you. So they don't just come to look at your books and then go to write their reports without communicating to you. Now, if you find any report, anything stated in the Auditor General's report, it means that you have been availed with all the opportunities to respond to the issues. The idea of they writing to the Minister of Finance for retrospective action is neither here nor there. The reason why this has become a major concern is that you are dealing with the judiciary. You are dealing with people who have a privilege of opportunity to dispense justice. Now, the Auditor General himself in the report says that there was no clearance. Any sale of state risk fund or material or any state vehicle or whatever that is going to be sold, after the sale, it serves as a means of generating money to the state. And the only ministry responsible to ensure that those monies are generated as a result of the sales is the Minister of Finance. So if the Minister of Finance never gave their clearance, any other auction that took place was illegal. The Auditor General says that the Minister of Finance didn't give clearance. Now, why would someone do that? Now, in his attempt to more or less convince the people of this country and says that the matter should be put to rest, he says that if you look at those vehicles, some of them were purchased sometime 2013, 2012. How about the 2017? You haven't mentioned that. 2017 Land Cruiser. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2021, 4 years.
Can I have the judge's vehicles?
Yes, one of the Toyota, some of them, not even one, they were purchased in 2017 based on the registration. And the institutions such as the judiciary will not buy home use vehicles. They would have purchased brand new Land Cruisers.
Okay, so today, I have a couple of...
Yes, a brand new Land Cruiser is valued at about $160,000. Now, if they purchase a Land Cruiser
There's even 2019, but there might
No,
be
I'm coming. I'm
that's a
coming.
registration
No,
number.
of course. The very year.
Not the manufacturing.
No, you
number.
can't
No,
buy.
but even the 2019 that you referenced
I haven't
was
mentioned
sold at
I haven't mentioned 2019.
123,620.
Please, I haven't.
Yeah, but it's a Toyota
it's-
Land Cruiser.
And it's just like a drowning man
Yes.
trying to cling on to a straw. I haven't mentioned 2019. I'm focused on the 2017.
Okay.
The very year, I have been a deputy minister before, and he is working with the state. A state will not buy a vehicle and keep it and says that we want to register it next year. The vehicle is bought for the purposes of it being used. So the very year the vehicle is purchased is the year they will do the registration. In fact, sometimes the moment the vehicles arrive, they will do the registration before they bring it to the ministries or the agency. Without the registration, it certainly wouldn't have been sent to the judiciary for use. Now, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and you sell that vehicle at 57,000 Ghana cedis, it simply doesn't make sense. In any case, vehicles that are allowed to be bought by public office workers who use them, I don't think include Land Cruisers. Saloon cars, you're allowed to buy those
they
saloon
don't
cars
include
to auction.
Land
I don't
Cruisers.
think they include Land Cruisers. I stand to be correct, but I don't think they include Land Cruisers. Even as ministers and deputy ministers, you are given the opportunity to buy the saloon car that you are using. In any case, that sale, the Auditor General says that it was null and void. Now, I was expecting that even before the valuation is done, that body that is doing the valuation, in this case the STC, they would have indeed done the valuation based on authorization coming from the Ministry of Finance. That authorization was not seen. It was not there. Yet they went ahead with the valuation, and for which these vehicles are purchased. You see, when we raise this issue, and let's get something very clear. Annie, I'll be the last person who wants to berate the judiciary. I mean, when you don't have fair, honest, and transparent, judiciary, then your democracy itself will come to nothing. Are you getting what I'm saying? Democracy survives on the existence of the three arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And in fact, if you look at even a proper democracy, where you would avoid, if you like, autocratic rulership, we can have democracy that is autocratic when we have an independent and impartial judiciary and legislature. Now, if the judiciary themselves are engaged in an act that is illegal, as cited by the Auditor General, it should be a worry. I have also listened to people. Look, we are in a democracy. The judiciary is not beyond criticisms. It's not. Just as we can criticize the president in the annals of things, the president is the number one citizen. And that institution, we can criticize the executive, we can criticize the legislature. The judiciary is not beyond criticisms. So this explanation of that, the Auditor General indicated and asked them to write for retrospective approval is neither here nor there. The Auditor General says that...
Not to cut you. Did the Auditor General indeed do that?
No, yeah, you can do that.
Yes.
You can do that.
So in this case, I just want to establish
Yes.
it. In this case, he did that.
Yes.
And asked them to write
yes.
in retrospection.
Yes.
And
then
the
also,
Finance Ministry responded.
Yes, and it's important also to state, just a minute, in the Professor Ya Intiamwa
Report.
Bedu Emolent report, there's a full document that really just encompasses some of the properties that retiring judges can take.
Okay.
And one of them includes transportation, one official vehicle, fully maintained, comprehensively insured, fuel, and all of that.
It wasn't
option
specific.
to purchase one duty post vehicle on
So-
retirement.
Okay, but it wasn't specific whether
It wasn't
four-wheel drive
specific
or
whether it was
salon
four-wheel
car.
drive. He says option to
Annie.
purchase one duty
Annie,
post vehicle.
Annie, are the judges retiring?
Okay, that's
Please,
on retirement.
don't even get us more angry. Are they retiring? These are 7 judges. They are not retiring. If they were retiring, that would have been different. I think that there was something wrong. And I have listened to people who questioned the action taken by the Auditor General, and they think that the judiciary don't go there. Please, we are in a democracy. We are not living in an autocracy. No single state institution is beyond criticisms. And the fact that people criticize the judiciary doesn't mean that anyone is undermining them. It is in their collective interest that when issues like this are raised, let's look at it as people who are participants in the democratic process. The Auditor General says that there was no clearance from the Ministry of Finance. So I have an issue. There was an illegality. So with what authority did they do the valuation? Before the STC will value that vehicle, then they must have authorization from the Ministry of Finance. If not, I can just decide that you work at the presidency Oh, the vehicle you are using, you just write.
But
take your
Murtala,
left-
all these judges
Please,
are retiring
please.
judges.
I'm saying,
All the judges.
Are they,
All of
They
them.
haven't retired.
They
Some
are
of them are still
When you say
serving
they are
judges.
retiring, what do you mean?
Retiring judges.
I
They
said
are
they are-
due. They
some
are
of
due
them-
for retirement.
They
They
have
are
But they
retired.
haven't
retired.
retired.
They are retired
But, no,
judges.
but these
Oh.
ones they are buying, they are not buying
They are not
based
buying-
on their
Retirement.
retirement.
No, they are due for retirement, and as processes for.
What is
your
the difference
retirement-
between retired and due for retirement?
Oh no, they are retired.
Hold on. What's
They are
the
not
difference?
retired. They are still at post.
What is the difference between retired and due for retirement? What are you talking about?
Okay, you go
MPP
ahead.
is due for getting out of power, but you are still in power. You take decisions for and on behalf of the
MPP
people.
is not due.
Oh, you are
MPP
messing up.
is not
You
due
see,
for-
you see. So let's get something very clear. We think that there was something that was wrongly done, and let them admit. And I'm saying that if I, Murtala, or you buy a state vehicle 4 years after it was bought, a brand new Toyota Land Cruiser, which is valued about $160,000, assuming that at that time it was $100,000 or even $90,000, then I'm paying 57,000 Ghana cedis. Do you know what constitutes 57,000 Ghana cedis with the dollar, as the dollar has broken jail
Right.
and it is now a fugitive? 57,000 Ghana cedis should be about some few thousands of dollars.
These vehicles were sold as at 2020. So if you want to do a dollar exchange, you need to put it in perspective. But I need to put it
This
on
is
record.
2021 Auditor General's
Yes.
report. Hold on.
Yes, but the
This-
vehicles,
okay,
the
that
vehicles.
makes the case even worse.
You see,
So
but
you want
all
to
these
peg it-
judges,
so
I need
you
to be able
want-
to
Annie,
state that
Annie,
all
You
these
are
judges are on
comfortable
retirement.
pegging it at the exchange rate.
And I'm not pegging it
at
at
the
exchange
time
rate.
at
I'm only trying to.
2020.
I'm only trying to
Oh,
let him know that.
oh, Annie,
I mean,
Annie.
there's no need for us to go into that conversation of
there
pegging
is-
it with
you
an
see,
exchange
Annie,
rate.
that
All
makes-
these
that makes the
judges,
case- that makes the
Murtala,
case-
all
Can I
these
finish?
judges.
Can I finish?
You are finishing. All these judges
I haven't
are on
finished.
retirement. Okay, just
I'm
to state
saying that
on
makes-
record
that makes even-
all the judges are on retirement.
Oh, that's
you
not
can
true.
continue. That is true.
In fact, that-
all 19 of the
hold on,
judges
hold on.
are on retirement.
That makes even the-
Show me one
Johnny,
that is not. All of them
Palgrave,
are on retirement.
That makes the case even worse.
How worse?
You said this thing was done in 2020, so 3 years after purchase.
They had
so,
retired.
so it means that they bought those vehicles
Before retirement.
knowing very well that when we retire, then it can be auctioned to us.
not at all.
3 years.
Not at all.
You see,
When-
if you are
when-
saying that
when
it
did
was
they
2020.
retire?
So 2020,
So you're
2021.
saying all 19 judges
All 19
have now
judges
retired.
have retired.
Annie,
When did they retire?
2020, 2021.
So you're not with 2020.
Okay,
It's either
we-
2020 or 2021.
2020.
So fantastic. So Annie, so what it means, in fact, I think that proper investigation ought to be done into this. So what he's now telling us, they purchased them in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020.
But you are
The-
focusing
hold
on only
hold
vehicles that are
Oh,
purchased
can I-
in 2020.
No,
can I
what,
How
finish?
many vehicles are
he's
purchased in
actually-
2017?
What he's
They are
actually
only-
telling
they are
us
only-
is that
they are only
When you were
three
given the
vehicles.
opportunity-
There are three vehicles that are
Fabric,
purchased.
so what you're actually telling us is that the Auditor General did a report on retired judges
Yes.
and knew that they are retired and he was capturing the wrong reports.
How would he capture a wrong report?
So the report is right.
The report is right. These judges are retired.
Annie,
And as part
Annie,
of,
don't
like I
allow-
stated,
don't
as
allow
part-
my good friend-
as part of
He's looking
as
for
part
a
of-
briefing.
as part of Prof's report stated that when judges are going on retirement, they can have the due to purchase one vehicle.
But this is definitely not a retirement purchase.
So what is it?
Annie,
It's not.
Annie.
It
Because
is.
if it were, well, I need to check
Annie,
on
I-
these
I-
retirements, but I'm saying that if it's on retirement, I'm sure the Auditor General would have captured it in a report just to put it in the right perspective.
Annie,
All
Annie,
these
granted,
judges are retired.
granted. You see, we should not allow him to escape with this. Whether they were on retirement or they retired 20 years before this, the Auditor General says that there was no authorization. That should be the subject matter. So this argument on they being, and I think that it is making the case worse.
Because what I'm
So
thinking
what it simply means-
is the authorization law different, or does it apply differently when they are retiring or
No,
when they
Annie,
have,
in
when they are
any-
purchasing
Annie,
on retirement?
For me, it even makes the case more grievous. What it simply means is that they knew they were retiring because every public sector worker, you know when you are retiring. So those who they bought the vehicles 2017 and they knew that, oh, I'll be retiring, so let me buy this vehicle. And by 2020, if I retire, I buy it auction. So the vehicles are bought in 2017 and I know that, okay, I'll be retiring in 2020 so that they auction it to me at Donkomi over $100,000. You auction it at 57,000 Ghana cedis. Look, this your communication is creating more problem for them. This communication. I don't know who is feeding you with this information. It is worsening the case. The Auditor General says that there was no clearance. But I agree that, look, the Auditor General and their recommendations, because every auditing that is done, they have recommendations. They can ask that you write for the necessary actions to be taken. But in this case, Ebon is bad. My tree is coming up strongly today. It's bad. So they should not attempt wanting to defend it. But the point I'm just making, look, I have seen people who have taken the Auditor General to the cleaners. I have some problems with the Auditor General. But you see, Annie, if you assess monies that people have actually paid, without the Public Accounts Committee, they certainly wouldn't have paid them. That is huge. I have had the cause to have told the Auditor General, the acting Auditor General, when he appeared before our committee, I said, look, you will do yourself good, the Public Accounts Committee good, and the people of this country good. If you could quantify monies that people who have been cited for infractions have paid because they are dreading to appear before the Public Accounts Committee, and that gives you several millions of Ghana cedis. There is an issue that is also raised about this Auditor General, that Domilevo surcharged people, and we generated over 60 million Ghana cedis. Why is he unwilling to surcharge people?
Which is why
who
the
have been cited?
CSOs have, risen against him, that he has to.
And the
continue.
MPP wing of civil society organization,
Right.
what do they call
Yes.
them? Occupy Ghana.
Yes.
It's an MPP civil society
No,
organization.
you cannot.
Oh, it is.
You cannot say that.
Oh, it is.
You cannot say that.
It is.
It's a civil.
Just when they say this,
We can
CJ.
say that ASEPA too is an NDC wing.
You cannot
say
say
ASEPA
that.
is civil NDC wing.
Exactly.
Who's ASEPA?
It's an organization.
Mensa Thompson's ASEPA.
I haven't mentioned. But you people, you
I'm
call
asking.
them. But that's what you've been saying.
No, that's what I'm
Murtala.
asking you.
I haven't said that.
So
I'm
it's
talking
an
about.
organization, regardless which political party members of that
So I'm
organization.
saying that even
support
with their
someone.
link with the NPP, they themselves have found something very wrong with it. That is the point I want to make. So it is not about problem with the judiciary or a particular state institution. It is about wrong. The Auditor General, people are asking questions, why he's unwilling to say charge. But you see, after all these things are done, Public Accounts Committee finishes with their work. We submit the report to Parliament. You realize that over the years, we had about 10 years Auditor General's report that have always been waiting for the Accounts Committee to Public Accounts Committee to look at. And most often, by the time you even finish with your public sitting, some of the people are even dead. The people who are supposed to answer questions are no longer. Some will retire. We have decided, this current Public Accounts Committee, we have decided that we need to clear the backlog. Annie, last year we did 2 years. We did 2017 report. We did 2018 report. As I talk to you, we are doing the 2019 report. We haven't even gone into the 2020 and the 2021 report, even though the Auditor General publishes it. It doesn't conclusively say that those who have been identified in the report to have occasioned some infractions have actually done something wrong. Because there are instances when we have the Public Accounts Committee, people will come and you realize that there are some communication. In fact, there was an incident when we were looking at the 2018 that one particular MMDC, one district, that they were cited for an infraction of about 400 and something thousand Ghana cedis. And when we are having this public hearing, the district auditor is there, the regional, and then the Auditor General office. We realized that the total amount of money was 42,000. But there was a typographical error. And that is what is found in their website. So anybody who reads will say that, a particular district, they embezzled this amount of money. But you see, what we have decided to do as a committee in Parliament, that let's clear the backlog. When my colleagues, or our colleagues, some of them are in their constituencies, others have gone for vacations to rest, we could not. God, the nation is zoned into 4. We did you have the 5 northern regions held in Tamale. You have the Bunu North and Ashanti region held in Sinyani. Then you have the Western North and Central in Takoradi. Then you have Volta, Oti region, Eastern and Greater Accra in Volta. We are now working on the 2019 report. Wow. We finished Northern Zone. We finished the Hafo. We are going to Volta region on Sunday. We spend a week there, then we move to Takoradi for the 2019. The only time we can do that is when Parliament is on recess. So whereas a recess is expected that you use it to rest, do some and then come back, we don't have that opportunities as members of the committee. I know one interesting thing. Several members of the committee often lose their seats. several members of the
So
public
attrition rate on that
committee is very
committee
high, because when your colleagues are in the constituency, and if you don't have a very effective constituency executive, I am fortunate. I have very effective constituency executive, and once in a while I move to the constituency often. When we finish with this, that's 2019, Parliament will have to come back. So we are waiting for the next recess. Then the next recess, we intend to do 2 years again, that is 2020 and 2021. So that by the time we get into 2024, we would have cleared the backlog.
The backlog, okay.
So that every year we have just 1 year that we are looking at. Go over the years, 7 years, 10 years. We want to be speed with our public hearing and investigation. Now, what is instructive of what we are doing now is that when we're looking at the 2018 and the 2019 Auditor General's report, over 100 institutions, MMDCs, have been referred to the Minister for Justice and Attorney General for prosecution. In fact, the cylinder manufacturing cylinder company, the public hearing, the head there, Francis Essam, has been referred to the Minister for Justice.
I heard from her yesterday, Francis Essam. Good afternoon.
The Auditor General has, in fact, Parliament actually adopted the report. 3 months now, almost 3 months. I'm wondering why the Minister for Justice and Attorney General is not prosecuting her and prosecuting those who were engaged in such infractions. What we have decided to do is that next year, we are going to invite the Minister for Justice and Attorney General to come answer questions on the recommendations of Parliament.
Okay.
Those who have been referred to the Minister of Justice and Attorney General for prosecution, how far they have gone with the prosecution. If they haven't, why are they not prosecuting? So those who blame the Public Accounts Committee and say that the Public Accounts Committee's work is much ado about nothing, we have fulfilled our constitutional responsibility. It is now left with the Minister of Justice.
But to a certain extent, the people have a point, because we have so much backlog.
That is why we are clearing the backlog. We are doing it against even our work in our various constituencies, in our own comfort.
You probably have to, because it's costing us a lot.
And that is precise. But you see, when we do all those things, we expect the Minister for Justice and Attorney General to go ahead with the prosecution. If you think that you don't have enough evidence to prosecute any, then tell Parliament. Those you have recommended, or institutions you have recommended for prosecution, we could not establish enough evidence. And I don't think that may be an excuse, because the Auditor General would have had enough evidence for the purposes of prosecution. That is what we demand from the Minister for Justice and Attorney General to do. And maybe perhaps when you go to the Flagstaff House, inform them that they should tell my good friend, the Minister for Justice and Attorney General, to stop talking and prosecute those who have been cited by the Auditor General for such infractions.
It's your calm gaze for me.
His calmness day. You know, it's difficult to push an elephant through the hole of a needle. Maybe umbrella you can manage.
I mean, the Auditor General obviously is facing challenges with surcharges. The previous one was doing some that I think Ghanaians were a little satisfied with, or they expressed, some satisfaction, that they admired the fact that, well, there was an effort at least. So when this one came and it was stalling the whole effort, there are questions. So we have a problem at the Auditor General, who is failing to surcharge. We have a problem with prosecution, where the Attorney General is in charge of that. But the government will turn around to come and blame the people that you're not paying taxes and so we're not making money. But government officials, to the extent that it goes all the way to the judges, you see, if you don't prosecute and you don't surcharge, you don't have the opportunity to explain yourself. So don't blame people when they end up concluding that you're corrupt.
Well, people cannot end up concluding that anyone is corrupt, because I think that the evidence is very clear.
That's what.
The Auditor General's report really gives out the evidence of persons that have either not gone through right means of appropriating their rights, and they have been asked to pay back their monies. And I'm very certain that
is that where it ends?
Well, I believe in institutions that are very strong.
I
believe institutions that are very strong, and even with prosecution, you are aware that a lot of times it takes a lot of evidence, really, to come to bear before you can bring a matter to the floor of the courts to prosecute. We should appreciate that level of time that it will take. And I'm very certain that the Attorney General himself, at the very right time, would be able to send a number of these injunctions that have come up for prosecution. But really, on the judges, like I've stated, I've looked at the Professor Ntiamwa Bedu's emolument report. I think it's very clear that when judges are retiring, they have their first choice to purchase any of their auction vehicles.
If they still want to auction them.
Yes, is that what she said? That's what
I'm
she
saying
said.
that, what did
No,
she say?
it doesn't matter what she said. It's about what the law says.
No, yes,
she has
so-
given a recommendation, but that recommendation is not sacrosanct.
There must be an
They
approved
are
authorization
they are Article
from the Ministry of
71
Finance.
holders. You understand? They are Article 71 holders, and the law gives them an opportunity to be the first purchase owners of the vehicles that they have used.
Through a process.
And the process, I don't think the process has been breached that much. Like I stated, they had the STC go through the valuation very well. I've looked at some of the STC documents. I've looked at the mileage of the vehicles.
Agreed.
These vehicles
You
have been
speak
used.
for government.
These vehicles have been used.
And you have
very
the
well.
interest of Ghana at heart, unless you tell me you do not.
I love Ghana.
You are simplifying.
Are you sure?
I love
No,
Ghana.
you see, you're simplifying, all jokes aside, you're simplifying the seriousness of this matter. You don't think that the breaches was as much. What's that supposed to mean?
No, but
That somebody steals a goat and can go in for 20 years. How serious is
stolen a
that
goat?
offense?
No one has
I'm
stolen.
just saying.
No one has
that
stolen a goat in
you
this
have people
situation.
stealing all kinds
These
of
are
very little
judges-
things because
these
they are
are judges-
because
these are
they're
judges
hungry.
that
No,
have
let me
worked-
speak for the street person. That I'm stealing a goat because I'm hungry, not because I enjoy stealing, but because the system has just put me into a certain situation that I have to fend for myself. I don't have a job. I cannot get anything to do. I'm only left for stealing.
And
I go in and just looks into my face and puts me in for 15 years.
And tell
the
me
same
what
judge
crime-
breaches the procurement laws.
And tell me what
you
crime-
say it
tell
is-
me-
it
tell-
is- it
tell
is-
me what
it's
crime these
it's-
judges
it's-
have
it's
committed.
not- It wasn't
They
breached
bought
as
vehicles
much.
when they
Anim,
knew.
tell me what crime these
They
judges
bought
have
auction
committed.
vehicles when
You
they
see,
knew
I
that the
cannot
Ministry
tell
of
you the
Finance
crime-
was going to give
The
credit.
I
judges
can't tell
have
you the
not
crime they committed on the face value of the report.
They have not committed any crime.
Which is why the authorities
judges
must
have not committed
pursue
any
when they
crime.
are asked to prosecute.
They have gone through the right processes. Now,
Without the Ministry of Finance's
I stated very well that the Auditor General had recommended that they write this retrospective document to Ministry of Finance, for Ministry of Finance to write back to them. And they wrote that document.
And then you know
as
that
at April.
you know that the
As
Ministry
at
of
April.
Ministry of Finance actually wrote. I am a member of the Public Accounts Committee. I do not know, and you know a report that we are yet to look at, and you can tell the people of this country, oh, the Minister of Finance actually
you have
wrote.
copies of the-
You
those
have
letters.
that.
You have
What
the
sort of
copies.
country is this?
Do I have copies?
Yes, of
Yes,
the
you
letters
just
they
said the
wrote
Minister of Finance
and the Ministry of
wrote.
Finance
You know,
replying.
you
I
know.
have
You
seen
can
the
share them
document.
with
They
me.
told
I
you
can
at
share
the,
them.
they
I've
told you
seen-
at the Flagstaff
I've seen-
House.
But they're
They
supposed to
gave
be
you a
public
copy.
documents.
I've seen.
But they're supposed to be public documents.
Was the letter addressed to the media or to
No,
the general
it's
public?
supposed to be public. When I say
There are
it's supposed to be-
transactions between two institutions.
Yes, but if an infraction of this nature comes out and you want to prove that this is what the Attorney General directive was and we obey the directive, you have to make it public. Parliament doesn't know.
We don't know.
Parliament
I'm a
is
member
not an
of the Public
institution, a
Accounts
public
Committee.
institution.
We are
No,
considering
no,
2019,
I think that
2021
you are going ahead of the
response.
game.
You know.
You know, this is the Auditor General's report. The Auditor General recommended that the Judicial Service goes to the Ministry of Finance to make sure that they do the right thing. They wrote their letter as at April. That letter was written to the Ministry of Finance.
And you know. You have
Okay,
the
so
privilege.
I just
understand.
asked the lawyer
So clearly, I
just
mean-
to check if the point you made that
I said I'm not too sure whether
SUVs,
it is for
SUVs
Land Cruisers,
are
yes.
allowed to be bought, and he said no 4x4s allowed to be no 4x4 allowed to be
Exactly.
sold.
So that's the point.
Salons, yes. I don't know whether the rules differ for judges.
I don't think
but
so.
I doubt.
If you look at all of public, Article 71 office holders, when I was a deputy minister and my boss, Dr. Spio Gabra, the only vehicles that we were given the opportunity to be auctioned to us were the saloon cars, not our four wheels.
Okay.
So I was surprised when you were saying that it included that. Now, assuming that the information given to you, and I stand to be corrected, if it is so, then the case is even wearing more barrette.
What the letters written?
I mean, what the information you just got, if it
Okay.
is that they can't auction, four-wheel vehicles to them, and these are four-wheel vehicles that are auctioned to them, I think that the problem is now wearing the
There
barrette.
are
Let me
lots
take-
more. If you want to count, I think you can count. There are lots more saloon vehicles.
We are not interested in the saloon. Let's
Why you
focus.
not? There are a lot more saloon vehicles. There are 19.
Even if
vehicles.
it is
There are
only
lots
one,
more
even if it
saloon
is only
Let me
vehicles.
one
take a breather. When I come back, we'll
four-wheel,
wrap,
that's
Lots
what-
more
we'll wrap up
saloon
shortly.
vehicles.
Let's
You
go for a break.
conveniently didn't mention that.
We'll be back to wrap up. Welcome back. We're still on Good Afternoon Ghana. I'm with Palgrave Boachidanko. I speak for government on matters of governance and security. And I'm also still with Murtala Mohammed, the comrade and a member of parliament for Tamale Central constituency. So we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. Let me have you 2 minutes, and then Palgrave will take the rest of the minutes.
And first and foremost, I think that the Auditor General is not sacrosanct. The Auditor General also makes mistakes. And I know that some of the public hearings that we have had as a Public Accounts Committee, there are instances that there are some misreporting based on the information provided. So that is why anytime we have this public sitting, the Auditor General representatives are there, the regional auditors, district auditors, so that when there are cases that people need to look at, then they look at it. But you see, what we experience is a symptom of how corrupt this government is. That is a fact. Look, we have never had this level of irregularities and misappropriations of funds under this fourth republic than we are experiencing today. You indicated it's about 30-something%.
It says.
Juxtapose 2020 report with 19. It's ranging around that particular percentage. So I'm saying that, you see, when the chief comes home with a weird haircut, what do you think his subjects will do? They'll come home with tapia joke. The Gombes have a proven, nothing na che baba. If the chief comes with a haircut, what do you think his subjects will do? Let's discuss this dispassionately. This thing is difficult to defend, and I can understand how my good friend, a very brilliant communicator, is struggling to defend. Nobody has anything personal against the judiciary. I think it should be our collective responsibility to protect that particular institution. They dispense justice. They have exclusive and privileged position that no any other person has. Now, when President Mahama raised the issue about the people mocking the judiciary, you have some judges openly attacking President Mahama.
Right.
Oh, yes, judges.
Right.
This thing never came out. What are they going to say now?
Yeah.
What are they going to say?
So thank you. So it's I don't think it's just by a coincidence that this report came out even just after the comments of President Mahama, which you have other judges actually responding to. And that of the judges, I think, in my opinion, has become topical because when everything is destroyed, they are the only or the last pillar.
Annie, I beg you, I'm not just coming. You had Annie. In fact, that is a very important point. In 3 individuals, the Minister of Finance paid them over 1 million Ghana cedis when they have no portfolios at the ministries.
Right.
Who are those 3 individuals?
Progress.
Oh,
So-
you haven't seen the report?
Okay,
Minister of
Progress,
Finance
so-
paid over 1 million.
All right. Well,
In fact, it included
we
one
don't
of
have
my
time. We're
brothers,
going to
Honorable
just
gentleman who
Murtala.
fetched me at the university.
Honorable
Okay, Progress.
Murtala drops something
what
and
do we
leaves
do?
it.
It's in the report.
The report
I
has
haven't
given us
seen.
very different.
It's giving us different things.
Oh,
Yes,
it's in the
giving
report.
us different
Don't drop
infractions.
things.
It's in
But
the
I'm
report.
saying
Don't drop
that-
things you don't have enough time
No,
to
pay
I'm
attention
telling
to
you, it's
me.
in the
Pay
report.
attention to me.
No,
I'm
but
just
he's
saying
also
that.
dropping something that
I'll-
he
I'll-
won't have
I'll
time
give him
to
the evidence.
explain
Yeah.
it. So you should retract it.
Give us
Retract
your
what?
last
It's in
word.
the
So,
report.
and I think that it's been a very good afternoon conversation about the Auditor General. I respect institutions. I respect state institutions and government institutions. I'm very certain that all the infractions that are there in people that have gone through various faults of making sure that they haven't done the right thing will be brought to book. But it's also to be able to state that all these judges very much are above reproach. they have all retired as I speak to you. And also to be able to state that all these vehicles, I mean, majority of them will have been in service with them close to about 2013. So that's about 8 years, 9 years.
So
9
that part of
years
the report, are we
thereabouts.
going to ignore it?
And vehicles that were even bought in 2017, I have the mileage that those vehicles had
So
gone
I'm saying
on,
that is the
lots
government
of
going
mileage.
to ignore that part of the report?
No, government is not going to ignore anything at all. I mean, it's in the interest of government for us to look at the Auditor General's report holistically. And we are going to be doing that. I mean, we're not going to be picking an aspect of it and digesting it. But I think that the judicial service is one of importance to all of us, which is why we are stating it on record and categorically that they are above reproach. I mean, they've done all they've done all that they need to be able to do to ensure that they don't falter in this case. And we respect them.
paragraph 94, because he
Okay.
said, I am just, let me just read this. I
our
beg
time
you.
is up.
Paragraph 95 of the report, in fact, 94, payment of salary to non-Minister of Finance staff, which constituted 1,112,000 Ghana cedis, 896, paragraph 95. Come to 94, come to 95. We noted that 3 persons were paid a total of 1,112,000 Ghana cedis, 895.96, as salaries for the period of January 20 to December 2021. But we could not trace their personal files and names in the nominal role of the ministry.
You can
the
check.
details are. So
maybe,
it's there.
Maybe
I
they,
wasn't concocting
maybe they
it.
contributed to the ghost names.
It included,
Yeah,
in fact, a gentleman
yeah.
who paid
So-
me at the university, a brother of
So
mine.
Murtala Mohammed, comrade, is Member of Parliament for Tamale Central Constituency. Paragraph Wachidankwa speaks for government on issues of governance and security. My name is Ania Fampofu. Thank you for joining us here on Good Afternoon, Ghana.